right, it's gonna be a couple of minutes here. Let's see. It's been such a long time since I've done a live hangout. It's not even funny. I just am not used to how this junk works. So let me see. Just give about a minute or so. Well, family, it's kind of been a minute. It has been a minute or so. Okay, yeah, it's working. Yeah, it's been a minute. Um, so kind of just wanted to do this real quick because just had something on my mind. Wanted to go ahead and kind of like, I guess, let people know um, kind of what's been going on. Um, it has been a long, long road um, dealing with everything that's going on here. I'm actually happy about it too, and I'm grateful because you're kind of seeing a lot of things happening. And this kind of goes into detail with the 12 patriarch, the testament of the 12 patriarchs that I wanted to get into. Because I don't know if a lot of people know about it. And just kind of wanted to get it out there um, about what it entails or what the 12 patriarchs are. What's the testament of the 12 patriarchs? And um, basically, this whole thing with the whole virus, um, pandemic, epidemic, whatever they want to label it. Um, we all know that it's just a farce. It's just a farce to get people scared so they can start targeting black people. Um, start targeting um, start targeting us to be, in a sense, eliminated. And so um, I'm just waiting for it, because at the end of the day, I already know that Christianity just, it's not gonna help us. Buddhism, Islam, atheism, none of that junk is gonna help us. It's only standing on the Most High Yah's word, and you kind of see how desperate Christianity is to stay alive, even though it's been gutted and it's been bleeding out for quite some time, ever since this whole virus thing came out. Because now you see all these pastors talking about, yes, a boss, yes, a master, yes, yes, master. You didn't have to pay me this salary, master. We would have been fine, master, but we thank you though. We thank you though, master. We thank you though. You a good master. You a good master, Trump. You a good master. Um, you see it all, like you know. Uh, of course, the white ones are shucking is doing their own thing. I mean, but definitely black ones, they do not miss a beat. Shucking and jiving continues. It continues. So, um, just wanted to get into something about this because our community just needs to repent. That's just plain and simple. You know, we just got to get right. We got to get right with the Most High, and it's starting to get to that point where I don't have time to play with Christians. I don't have the I don't have the time to deal with them. You know, at first it was like a joke. At first I was thinking like, you know what, if I'm going to stand on this word, if I'm going to stand being the person that I am, you know, then I got to be firmly rooted. And from what I can tell, Christianity is a joke. It they've never wanted to be serious about this word, and even the ones who try, even the ones who actually try sincerely, they just continue to being the Christians that they are, and continue doing what they do, continue loving what they do. So, you know, um, let me see. Uh, and there it goes. Cool, 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 cool. So yeah, let me see, just kind of blow it up a little bit. Away, anybody? It's I've also noticed as well that you know these Christians don't even want to talk about. They don't want to address anything that is going wrong with this community. They don't want to address any of it and kind of show that what they're doing has always been a problem. And it's the sad reality. Um, so in case anybody doesn't know what this is, the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs is basically um, it's like a apocrypha, pseudographa, whatever these people want to call this thing, of the Old Testament by R.H. Charles, Volume 2, Oxford Press. These books were, if you ever look them up historically, these books were around the time of the Dead Sea Scrolls. So they have been in circulation, I'm pretty sure before that. As far as authenticity, though, I'm not too sure really how much in depth. I haven't studied that in depth as far as the authenticity of them. I do know that a lot of these books speak about the Mashiach. So um, and a lot of them talk about the character of righteousness. And the interesting thing is all of them, majority of them, have in their writings when they're talking about Joseph or Yehusef, and they're talking about his character being that of Mashiach. And that's kind of important to know because a lot of us don't see the issues that we're facing with not only ourselves when we judge ourselves internally. We don't see the standard that's been set by the Most High, and a lot of my people, whether in churches or whether in whether in the different sects of the different groups that they want to align themselves to. Not a lot of them don't see the high standard. You know, they don't see how we're supposed to treat one another. They don't see how we're supposed to regard one another, and that has always been a problem. That's why I want to kind of address that now. Hold on. Okay. I don't know what that was. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna read one just to kind of like just go down, break it down, kind of show people what I'm talking about with the 12 patriarchs. I'm gonna start with Yehuda, and you'll kind of pick up what the issues are, and you'll kind of pick up the standard here, because it is important to like kind of test yourself, especially us who say that who claim the identity of who we are, and and seek the face of the Most High. We kind of have to look at the standard for what it is, how the 12 patriarchs looked at what the standard of Mashiach, Yahusha, like what his standard was. And it says that the copy of the words of Yehuda, what things he spake to his sons before he died. They gathered themselves together, therefore, and came to him and said to them, hearken, my children, to Yehuda your father. I was the fourth son born to my father, Yaakov, and Leah, my mother, named me Yehuda, saying, I was given thanks to Yahuwah because he has given me a fourth son also. Uh, I was swift in my youth and obedient to my father in everything, and I honored my mother and my mother's sister. And it came to pass when I became a man that my father uh, blessed me, saying, thou shalt be a king, prospering in all things. And Yehu showed me favor in all my works, both in the field and in the house. I know that I raced a hind and caught it, and prepared the meat for my father, and he did eat. And the roes I used to master in the chase, and overtake all that was in the plains. A wild mare I overtook, and caught it, and tamed it. I slew a lion and plucked a kid out of his mouth. I took a bear by its paw and hurled it down the cliff, and it was crushed. I outran the wild boar, and seizing it as I ran, I tore it in sunder. A leopard in Hebron leaped upon my dog, and I caught it by the tail and hurled it on the rocks, and it was broken in twain. I found a wild ox feeding in the fields, and seizing it by the horns and whirling it around and stunning it, I cast it from me and slew it. And just a pause right there. Like, see, and this is what I mean by, why we claim the way we do is because, again, a lot of us are like literally this type of person. A lot of us in the Black community are literally this type of person. We're strong, we're fearless warriors. Well, we were. And we always have been capable of great feats that no other nation can really claim to have. That is why a lot of us, when it comes to the greatness that the Most High has put in us, a lot of the things that we've done, they've had to whitewash it. The 300, they had to whitewash that. When it came to when it came to Moses and all the tribes of Yasharal, they have to whitewash that because our greatness is just is so good that nobody can just show that on TV and say, oh, look at all these people and all the feats that they did. Look at all the wars that they won. You can't put that on a group of people that don't look like you. Like, why would you? So he talks about all the things that he was capable of doing, and that it was the interesting part is that he says, my father said to me, you will be a king. And it was because of what he was doing that it was promised to him that he would have the kingship. And if you look in the book of Chronicles, you'll see that it breaks down the different inheritances that was given to the 12 tribes. And it starts with Yehuda got the kingship because Reuben messed up, and Yehusef got the birthright, and Levi got the Kohan. He got the priesthood. And so you see these things happening in the you see this already being spoken of in the testament, that this is how he got it because of his obedience to his father, and the obedience that he had to his mother, and him actually following after the ways of the Most High. And it says in chapter 3 verse 1, it says, and when the two kings of the Canaanites came sheathed in armor against our flocks and much people with them, single-handed I rushed upon the king of Hazor and killed him on the greaves and dragged him down, and so I slew him. And the other king of Tapua, as he sat upon his as he sat upon his horse, I slew, and so I scattered all his people. Achor the king, a man of giant stature, I found hurling javelins before and behind as he sat on horseback. And I took up a stone of 60 pounds, 60 pounds weight, and hurled it and smote his horse and killed it. And I found with this other four, uh, and I fought with this other. Okay, they said that weird. And I fought with this other for 2 hours. Hey, that's how they said it. I don't know. And I clave his shield in twain, and I chopped off his feet and killed him. And as I was stripping off his breastplate, behold, 9 men, his companions, began to fight with me. And I wound my garment on my hand, and I slung stones at them and killed 4 of them, and the rest fled. And Yakub, my father, slew uh, Baalsoth, king of all the kings, a giant in strength, 12 cubits high, and fear fell upon them, and they ceased warring against us. Therefore, my father was free from anxiety in the wars when I was with my brethren, for he saw in a vision concerning me that a malak of might, or an angel of might, followed me everywhere, that I should not be overcome. Okay, and in the south there came upon us a greater war than that in Shechem. And I joined in battle array with my brethren, and pursued 1,000 men, and slew of them 200 men, and 4 kings. And I went up upon the wall, and I slew 4 mighty men, and so we captured Hazor and took all the spoil. On the next day, we departed to Aratan, a city strong and walled and inaccessible, threatening us with death. But I and Gad approached on the east side of the city, and Reuben and Levi on the west. And they that were upon the wall, thinking that we were alone, were drawn down against us. And so my brother secretly climbed up the wall on both sides by stakes, and entered the city, while the men knew it not. And we took it with the edge of the sword. And as for those who had taken refuge in the tower, we set fire to the tower, and took both it and them. And as we were departing, the men of Tapua set upon our spoil, and delivering up to our sons, we fought with them as far as Tapua, and we slew them and burnt their city, and took as spoil all that was in it. And when I was in the waters of Kuzeba, the man of Jubal came against us to battle, and we fought with them and routed them, and their allies from Shiloh we slew. And we did not leave them power to come in against us. And the men of Machir came upon us the 5th day to seize our spoil, and we attacked them and overcame them in fierce battle, for there was a host of mighty men against them. And we slew them before they had gone up the ascent. And when we came to their city, their women rolled upon us stones from the brow of the hill on which the city stood. And I and Simeon hid ourselves behind the town, and seized upon the heights, and destroyed the city also. Next day it was told us that the king of the city of Gaash with a mighty host was coming against us. I therefore and Dan feigned ourselves to be Amorites, and as allies went into their city. And in the death of night, our brethren came and we opened to them the gates, and we destroyed all the men and their substance, and we took for a prey all that was theirs. And their three walls were we cast down, and we drew near to Thamna, where was slinging against where was slinging against me stones and darts. And had not Dan my brother aided me, they would have slain me. We came upon them therefore with wrath, and they all fled. And passing by another way, they besought my father, and he made peace with them. And we did to them no hurt. And they became tributary to us, and we restored to them their spoil. And I built Thama, and my father built Pa. I was 20 years old when this war befell, and the Canaanites feared me and my brethren. So it kind of if any of y'all don't know where these wars and any of these things that's being talked about here are coming from, you got to read the book of Yasher and or Jasher, because that's exactly what was happening. And now I will say this though, because a lot of the things that's written in the Testaments are kind of showing that both the Book of Jubilees and Jasher are both accurate in some ways and not accurate in others. Um, Case in point, if you read Jasher, just a side note, if you ever pick up the books Jasher and Jubilees, you'll notice that the way Esau dies in Jasher and Jubilees is different. So hold on a second here. Sure. Okay, cool, cool. Still showing what I need to show. All right, cool. So verse 10, or excuse me, chapter 10, it says, and after these things, my son Er took to wife Tamar from Mesopotamia, daughter of Aram. Now Er was wicked, and he was in need concerning Tamar, because she was not of the land of Canaan. And on the third night, an angel or Malak of Yahuwah smote him, and he had not known her according to the evil craftiness of his mother, for he did not wish to have children by her. In the days of the wedding feast, I gave Unan to her in marriage, and he also in wickedness knew her not, though he spent with her a year. And when I threatened him, he went in unto her, but he spilled the seed on the ground according to the command of his mother, and he also died through wickedness. And I wished to give Shelah also to her, but his mother did not permit it, for she wrought evil against Tamar, because she was not of the daughters of Canaan, as she also herself was. And I knew that the race of the Canaanites was wicked, but the impulse of youth blinded my mind. And when I saw her pouring out wine, owing to the intoxication of wine, I was deceived, and took her, although my father had not counseled it. And while I was away, she went and uh, took for Shelah a wife from Canaan. And when I knew what she had done, I cursed her in the anguish of my soul. And she also died through her wickedness together with her sons. Now, these things, while Tamar was a widow, she heard after 2 years that I was going up to shear my sheep, and adorned herself in bridal array, and sat in the city uh, Anaim by the gate. For it was a law of the Amorites that she who was about to marry should sit in fornication 7 days by the gate. Therefore, being drunk with wine, I did not recognize her, and her beauty deceived me through the fashion of her adorning. And I turned aside to her and said, let me go in unto you. And she said, what will you give? What wilt thou give me? And I gave her my staff and my girdle, and the diadem of my kingdom in pledge. And I went in unto her, and she conceived, and not knowing what I had done, I wished to slay her, but she privily sent my pledges and put me to shame. And when I had called her, I heard also the secret words which I spoke when lying with her in my drunkenness, and I could not slay her because it was from Yahuwah. For I said, less happily she did it in subtlety, having received the pledge from another woman. But I came not again near her while I lived, because I had done this abomination in all Yasharal. Moreover, they who were in the city said there was no harlot in the gate, because she came from another place, and sat for a while in the gate. And I thought that no one knew that I had gone into her. And after this, we came into Mitzrayim to Yehusaf because of the famine. And I was 40 and 6 years old, and 70 and 3 years lived I in Mitzrayim. Now, the interesting part, and this is what I mean about the standard, because people don't understand. This is a lot of what the black community suffers from: drunkenness, fornication. Um, basically, how Yehuda was is that he was basically so enamored with his own, with the devices that he was, with the strongholds that he was subject to, that he cannot see the things, the priceless things that he gave up, for a harlot, in a sense. And this also lets you know that women who adorn themselves the way that they do nowadays, the way that they dress, always brings out a sense of fornication. Like, a man looks at you like a harlot, and they know that, and that's how Yehuda viewed Tamar. He viewed Tamar as a harlot. He didn't view her as, a woman worth any respect, or worth, in a sense, marrying. If uh if like, just for whatever reason, because he purposely came there. And when you read it, he purposely comes there to sleep with the woman, because he knows that that was a custom in that city. He knows that that was a harlot. Like, it literally says she has to sit in fornication for 7 days. Now, this is talking about a person who's supposed to be married, who's about to marry. So you sit in a place of fornication, which means that you're known to either be a harlot before you even get married. That's like the custom of the city. So, moving on, in chapter 13, it says, "And now I command you, my children, hearken to Yehuda your father, and keep my sayings, to perform all the ordinances of Yahuwah, and to obey the commands of Yahuwah, and walk not after your lusts," which is our problem, "nor in the imaginations of your thoughts and haughtiness of heart, glory not in the deeds and strength of your youth, for this also is evil in the eyes of Yahuwah. Since I also gloried that in wars no comely woman's face ever enticed me, and reproved Reuben my brother concerning Bilhah, the wife of my father, the spirits of jealousy and of fornication arrayed themselves against me, until I lay with Bathshua the Canaanite, and Tamar, who was espoused to my sons. For I said to my father-in-law, I will take counsel with my father, and so will I take your daughter. And he was unwilling, but he showed me a boundless store of gold in his daughter's behalf, for he was a king, and he adorned her with gold and pearls, with gold and pearls, and caused her to pour out wine for us at the feast with the beauty of women. And the wine turned aside my eyes, and pleasure blinded my heart, and I became enamored and I lay with her, and transgressed the commandment of Yahuwah and the commandment of my fathers, and I took her to wife. And Yahuwah rewarded me according to the imagination of my heart, inasmuch as I had no joy in her children. And that's kind of the things that we're dealing with right now, and this doesn't even necessarily have to do with like interracial marriage, which I definitely don't agree with. Um, this does have something to do with it, but when you look at what he's doing, this is the interesting part. He lets you know what got him in that situation. And this is a lot of the things that gets us in that situation, because when we look at these rappers, they do the exact same thing. They have women who are in immodest apparel, who purposely try to entice you with their eyes. That's why when you look at these videos, if you're a righteous man, you really are vexed. You really are vexed with what you're seeing, because it's so terrible. It's like, why are you doing this to yourself? And the men glory in the riches of this world. That's why he said the gold, the pearls, and the wine. What do? We pour out the I don't even know what they have, because I don't even know alcohol like that. What is it? Red wine, goose. I know my parents had wine. I just don't remember any of it. Was it Royal, Crown Royal? Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, all of these like, basically they show them in rap videos and stuff like that, like, oh, I bought I bought $10,000 worth of wine, and you're just pouring it out there, just, at wasting it. And it's like, that was the mentality of Yehuda. It was exactly the same thing. Like, you can look at these people's mentality, and you can look at a group of people that actually exhibit these things, you know now, granted, other nations exhibit these things, but not like we do. Not like we do. It is not even close. Like, if I look at other nations, when I look at whether it's like, I've watched a lot of anime in my life, and what I see in even Asian cartoons, they will show you that there's a stark difference when they show characters of a black man and and basically the Asian counterparts, or whatever other Asian characters. All the Asian characters look European, for one thing, and they even when they look European, they have regular characteristics. Like, they have no, quote unquote, normal characteristics. Whenever it comes to a black character, you can read it in their books, like in their mangas. That since I'm so used to that lifestyle, you can see it in their books. They never give us that. They only view us as pretty much sex-driven machines. We're either sex-driven machines, we're drunkards, we're not responsible, we're super strong. We are super strong, just like the character that they had in Naruto, the head black dude, super strong. And you know, like, for whatever reason, these are our characteristics. We're basically driven by our appetites. We're driven by our strength, our appetites, our lust, our drunkenness, and that's how they view us. That's literally how they view us. That's how they view us now. Like, we're practically machines, only driven by lust, like drunkenness, money. That's why they think it's funny when they treat us like monkeys, and they do it a lot, like a lot. Like, that's the normal thing for them. Um, Chapter 14. Keep reading. It says, "And now, my children, I say unto you, be not drunk with wine, for wine turns the mind away from the truth, and inspires the passion of lust, and leads the eyes into error. For the ruach of fornication has wine as a minister to give pleasure to the mind. For these two also take away the mind of man. For if a man drink wine to drunkenness, it disturbs the mind with filthy thoughts, leading to fornication, and heats the body to carnal union. And if the occasion of the lust be present, he works the sin and is not ashamed. Such is the inebriated man, my children, for he who is drunken reverences no man. For lo, it made me also to err, so that I was not ashamed of the multitude in the city, in that before the eyes of all I turned aside unto Tamar, and I wrought a great sin, and I uncovered the covering of my son's shame. After I drunk wine, I reverenced not the commandment of Yahuwah, and I took a woman of Canaan to wife, for much discretion needs the man who drinks wine, my children. And herein is discretion in drinking wine. A man may drink so long as he preserves modesty. But if he go beyond this limit, the ruach of deceit attacks his mind, and it makes the drunkard to talk filthily and to transgress and not to be ashamed, but even to glory in his shame and to account himself honorable. Another thing to mention is, like, when you look at this is why you see the commandments written the way that they are. And that's the sad reality, because we try to figure out, why does the Most High give us precepts? Why does he tell us not to do these things? um why does he tell us not to go into drunkenness, go into not to increase in much gold, to increase in much women? And it's because you look at the 12 patriarchs, you look at the examples he set, and all he did was write it down to where not only did they have the precepts already, they had the testaments of the patriarchs already in circulation amongst themselves, because it was given to each tribe to know what to do and what not to do. The second thing is because when you look at the Torah, it gives us the same exact instructions from the Most High, because he knows that it was going to turn them away from him. That is exactly what happened to Dawood, because he's of what? He's of what tribe? The king of Yehuda, or excuse me, the tribe of Yehuda. So the same effects happened with him. The spirit of fornication, or the ruach of fornication, fell upon him, to where he was blinded um by his lust and his desires, that he was willing to sleep with Bathsheba even though she already had a man. And he just became worse after that, until he repented. But you see, the actions that he had blinded him to understand the truth. His lust and desires blinded him to the truth, that he should not have done what he did. Verse 15, or excuse me, chapter 15. He that commits fornication is not aware when he suffers loss, and is not ashamed when put to dishonor. For even though a man be a king and commits fornication, even though a man be a king and commit fornication, he is stripped of his kingship by becoming the slave of fornication, as I myself also suffered. The same thing that happened with David. The same thing that happened with Solomon. The same thing that happened with Solomon, man. It's like, this is exactly the issue with them taking these books out, because you can look at all the characters of these men, and you can actually pinpoint a community that actually follows and exhibits these characters. You can literally you can just use the certain things that they're doing and pinpoint the group. You can pinpoint groups that do this. You can, by a T, you can pinpoint groups that majority do this, that people are known to say, yeah, these people do this over here. I know that they do it. That's their character. That's their way. And they literally, in their own cultures, model you after that. Like, again, going back to Japanese anime, they literally model you by these characteristics. They have a character literally that does exactly what Yehuda is doing. He's a man who's super strong, and his entire group was full of nothing but black people. One of them's lazy and doesn't care about his own women, but cares about the women of another nation, which is exactly what Yehuda did. You got another one who's sorry for himself. And all of these things show that they know our characteristics, and they literally put them in TV shows. They literally put them in movies. They put them in books. They put them in cartoons and whatever, to make fun of us, yes, but it's also for you to get the understanding that this is why they do it. Like, this is exactly why they do it, because they know who you are. They know exactly who you are. Even when they make fun of you, they know who you are. um And it says, for I gave my staff, that is the stay of my tribe, and my girdle, that is my power, and my diadem, that is the glory of my kingdom. And indeed, I repented of these things. Wine and flesh I eat not until my old age, nor did I behold any joy. And the Malach of Yahuwah showed me that forever do women bear rule over king and beggar alike. And from the king they take away his glory, and from the valiant man his might, and from the beggar even that little which is the stay of his poverty. Yeah, women can be a vice for us, definitely. Um, and all of this is just to reprove Yasharal, because this is the type of things we got to wake up to. We got to wake up to the evils of what we do. Um, because people think it's a game. People think like, oh, um this is one of those things to where it's a joke, but it's not. People think like you got to look at your character and kind of see what it is that you exhibit. You can look at these 12 patriarchs, and you can kind of pinpoint a lot of the things that you do and say, you know what, I do pinpoint these things. I can definitely understand Yehuda's situation here, because that's how I saw Japanese people. I've um had a lust for Japanese women. Never dated one, never slept with one, but I desired their culture. I desired what they had, and it blinded me to understand these are not your people. There's a reason why the commandment of the Most High, just like Yehuda received, and the commandments of your fathers was important. If we had culture like this, we would never do a lot of the stuff that we do with these other nations. We wouldn't do it. We wouldn't do it. But at the same time, I could be wrong, because even with this, it goes to show even a man like Yehuda, as strong and mighty as he was, he still messed up in a lot of ways. All right, observe therefore, my children, the right limit in wine, for there are in it four evil spirits: lust. Excuse me, let me read that again. Observe therefore, my children, the right limit in wine, for there are in it four evil spirits: of lust, of hot desire, prolific, pro. Oh my goodness. Uh, proflig, proflig, prof, profligacy, profligacy, a filthy lucre. My goodness, why they have to use words like this? It makes no sense. Let me even see what that word is. I'm 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 for real, because I'll admit it, I'm dumb when it comes to the English language. I'm still learning it, because these people just be just saying anything. I don't understand what they're saying. Profligacy. I'm going reckless extravagance or wastefulness in the use of resources. Yeah, that's exactly what we do. Okay, so basically, um, wastefulness, filthy lucre, basically a wastefulness of your resources. Um, yeah, reckless extravagance or wastefulness in the use of resources. So you're just being wasteful in your filthiness. Let me go back here. Oops. All right, cool. Um, if you drink wine in gladness, be ye modest in the fear of Yahuwah. For if in your gladness the fear of Yahuwah departs, then drunkenness arises, and three shamelessness stealth in it, steals in. But if you would live soberly, do not touch wine at all, lest you sin in words of outrage, and in fightings and slanders and transgressions of the commandments of Yahuwah, and you perish before your time. Moreover, wine reveals the mysteries of Yahuwah and men, even as I also revealed the commandments of Yahuwah and the mysteries of Yaqub, my father, to the Canaanitish woman Bathshua, which Yahuwah bade me not to reveal. And wine is the cause of both war and confusion. I'm telling you guys, I got to get away from that wine. I'm so glad I've never had it ever. I've never had a problem with wine. I'm so glad, because I could just, the first time I had wine, first, excuse me, first time I had alcohol, I was like, I know I can never drink wine again. I'm good. Alcohol. I was no, it was malt liquor. It was malt liquor. I was given malt liquor for the first time, and I kid you not, burned my throat. I was done. I was done. Never again. Never in my life. No. And uh the only other times I actually ever drunk alcohol after that was because somebody had in some Sunny D, and I didn't know it was in there. They spiked some Sunny D. I didn't know that, and I had it. And I threw it up because I hate wine. I hate alcohol, and it's good because it's a lot of these reasons right here. We reveal so much when we're drunk, and that's just the truth. We fight, we do stupid stuff, and when I used to go outreach to the clubs and all these different things, and I would see how drunk people are. People reveal a lot of things that they don't need to when they're drunk. When I used to be a busser at a club, a man gave me a $50 tip just to clean a mess up that he had, because he was willing to just waste money because he was drunk. I mean, now of course I took it, but the point is, people do a lot of stuff that they're not supposed to, but because wine is a mocker and it brings confusion um to you, people don't want to give it up. People just think like, oh, I'm fine drinking wine and alcohol and all these different things, and it's like everything is corrupt in this earth. The scripture says, just as in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the coming of the Son of Man. Alcohol is just it's already corrupted. There's the real alcohol that they had. You had to drink bottles of that just to get drunk, just to even get a little buzz. But we see here, we see here that got my daughter joining me. You like anything to say? No, you just want to get closer. You just going to listen. Okay. But yeah, it destroys your integrity. You become a slave to you become a slave to the ways of fornication. You basically allow Satan to use you like a puppet, and he can get anything out of you. It says, and now I command you, my children, not to love money, nor to gaze upon the beauty of women, because for the sake of money and beauty I was led astray to Bathsheba the Canaanite. For I know that because of these two things shall my race fall into wickedness. For even wise men among my sons shall be marred, and shall cause the kingdom of Yehuda to be diminished, which Yahuwah gave me because of my obedience to my father. For I never caused grief to Yaakov, my father, for all things whatsoever he commanded I did. And Yitzhak, the father of my father, blessed me to be king in Yasharal. And Yaakov further blessed me in like manner. And I know that from me shall the kingdom be established. And so that's another reason why it's important in our integrity. Because when you have a blessing like that from the Most High, He says that um in First Peter chapter 2, He said that I've called you to be a set apart people, a royal priesthood. You're supposed to be kings and priests. It's like, how can you do that? And this is the representation that you have. Yehuda understood this. He said, because of my sin, because of my transgression, I know that my own race now is going to suffer from these things, the very things that I suffer. And that kind of shows, like when you read in Ezekiel chapter 18, when it talks about it says the sons have eaten sour grapes and the children's teeth are set on edge. This goes to show that proverb stands firm. Whenever we go into wickedness, it's not just us that have to pay for it. It's our entire lineage that has to pay for it. Especially considering how severe it was. You look at you look at the curse that was upon David. That curse never left his house. That curse really just never left his house. His descendants always had problems. Even the righteous ones, even though they was all right, they was all right for a time while they were alive. But once they died, Joshua started going right back, because somebody who's the son of the righteous would start performing wickedness again and start going into the same traps that their fathers did. Would you like to add anything? I'm going to get you. Anyway. And it says, and I know what evils you will do in the last days. Beware, therefore, my children, of fornication and of the love of money, and hearken to Yehuda, your father, for these things will draw you from the law of Yahuwah. And that's what Christianity teaches us now. And this is why it's so important to understand what the purpose of the law is. Anyway. And blind the inclination of the soul, and teach arrogance, and suffer not a man to have compassion upon his neighbor. They rob his soul of all goodness, and oppress him with toils and troubles, and drive away sleep from him, and devour his flesh. And he hinders the sacrifices of Yahuwah. He remembers not the blessing of Yahuwah. He hearkens not to a Nabi, a prophet, when he speaks, and represents the words of godliness. For he is a slave to two contrary passions, and cannot obey Yahuwah, because they have blinded his soul, and he walks in the day as in the night. My children, the love of money leads to idolatry, because when led astray through money, men name as gods those who are not gods, and it causes them who has it to fall into madness. For the sake of money, I lost my children, and had not my repentance and my humiliation and the prayers of my father been accepted, I should have died childless. But you who of my fathers have mercy on me, because I did it in ignorance. And the prince of deceit blinded me, and I sinned as a man and as flesh, being corrupted through sins, and I learned my own weakness while thinking myself invincible. And it's kind of sad, because you look at people as strong as like Dwayne Wade. What's that basketball player? I don't even know his name. The one that has the big beard on the Houston Rockets or something like that. The man is spending like $400,000 just for a woman to be around him. He's spending thousands and thousands of dollars just for a woman to date him, be around him, just to even have a conversation with him. And, the women are looking at him stupid. It's like, haha, look at that. I'm with the basketball player girls. I'm got all this money, and I thank him for paying me all this money just to lay in the bed with them. Like it's sad, because it's a bunch of nonsense where we just waste everything that we work hard for because of women. Women, drunkenness, our lusts, and our desires have always consumed us as a people, as a race of people. And that's why he said my entire race has been involved in this. It's not just the men, it's the women too. Women don't have this much of a great problem as the men do. And the men need to be highlighted more, because one, the men lead. So it's like, if the women are looking at the men falling into drunkenness, falling into whoredom, they don't have no leg to stand on, because it's like, well, if they're doing it, why can't I? You set the example, you set the standard, you lead. So he says, know therefore, my children, that two spirits wait upon man, the spirit of truth and the spirit of deceit. And in the midst is the spirit of understanding of the mind, to which it belongs to turn whithersoever it will. and the works of truth and the works of deceit are written upon the hearts of men. And each one of them Yahuwah knows. And there is no time at which the works of men can be hid. For on the heart itself have they been written down before Yahuwah. And the Ruach of truth testifies all things and accuses all. And the sinner is burnt up by his own heart and cannot raise his face to the judge. And now, my children, I command you, love Levi, that ye may abide, and exalt not yourselves against him, lest you be utterly destroyed. For to me Yahuwah gave the kingdom, and to him the priesthood. And he set the kingdom beneath the priesthood. To me he gave the things upon the earth, to him the things in the Shamayim. As the Shamayim is higher than the earth, so is the priesthood of Yahuwah higher than the earthly kingdom, unless it falls away through sin from Yahuwah and is dominated by the earthly kingdom. For the Malak, or the angel of Yahuwah, said unto me, Yahuwah chose him rather than me to draw near to him and to eat of his table and to offer him the first fruits of the choice things of the sons of Yasharal. But thou shalt be king of Yaakov, and thou shalt be amongst them as the sea. For as on the sea just and unjust are tossed about, some taken into captivity, while some are enriched, so also shall every race of men be in you. So some shall be impoverished, being taken captive, and others grow rich by plundering the possessions of others. For the king shall be as sea monsters. They shall swallow men like fishes. The sons and daughters of free men shall they enslave. Houses, lands, flocks, money shall they plunder. And the flesh of many shall they wrongfully feed the ravens and the cranes. And they shall advance in evil, in covetousness uplifted. And there shall be false prophets like tempests, and they shall persecute all righteous men. And that's what we see now with Creflo Dollar, TD Jake the Fake, um, a whole bunch of these other Christian pastors that people don't really even get on. Pay your tithes. Don't forget to pay your tithes now. Don't forget to pay your tithes now. And so you have this issue. Like, what's the you have this issue in our community, because he's talking about his community, just his lineage alone was going to start doing this, was going to start falsely actually just being slaves to covetousness and start taking from other people, just like David, just like Solomon. Solomon was placing heavy burdens on the free people, on his own brothers and sisters. He was placing heavy taxes and heavy burdens on his own people. And when they asked his son to lift off the load, he said, no, I'm going to make the load even worse for you. And so we see this unfold even now in the lineage of Yehuda, and it's affecting even us, because we see that in our own community, we do not hold these people accountable. We don't even hold ourselves accountable. We are willing to side with false prophets, false teachers, because we know that as long as we side with them, we don't have to worry about anyone judging us for the evil that we do. Why would a person like Tyler Perry go to T.D. Jakes' church? Why wouldn't he go to a person that talks about holiness? Why would he do that? Why would Kurt Franklin, why would he not go to a church that's about holiness? Why? Because we know for a fact nobody wants to get judged. Nobody wants to feel like as if, oh man, I'm actually doing wrong. But you are doing wrong. That's the whole point. Yehuda knew this. His humiliation was in front of everybody, just like David. Again, I just want to reiterate, this is how important it was. His humiliation, and the fact that his father had to pray for him, and the fact that he sought out repentance. This led him to understand, had this not been the case, had none of these
Had these things not been accepted, I would have died childless, because all his children were dead because of his disobedience. He sought after a woman of a different nation because they turned his heart away. It didn't turn his heart away from Yahuwah. It turned his heart away from what was right. The very things that he knew he was not supposed to do, his father's commandments showed that if he just obeyed, he would not have to go through this heartache about seeing his sons die. But because he went with a woman who was wicked, and he said the whole entire nation of these people are wicked. And he realized that, and he said, man, had I not done these things, and my whole situation with Tamar, me getting drunk, me giving up my kingship because of my drunkenness, because of my lust, had all of this was put out in front of Yasharal, and it was to my shame. And had I just had not my repentance, my humiliation, and the prayers of my fathers not been accepted, I would have died childless, and rightfully so. It should have been the case for a lot of us, because we see how bad it was, and the only reason why the Most High didn't allow that to happen, it was because he did it in ignorance, and he just knew better. He had enough conviction. He had enough conviction to sustain himself to where he said, "I'm not going into Tamar again." Because in Yahuwah shall bring upon them divisions one against another, and there shall be continual wars in Yasharal, and among men of another race shall my kingdom be brought to an end, until the salvation of Yasharal shall come, until the appearing of Yahuwah of righteousness, that Yaakub and all the Gentiles may rest in peace. And he shall guard the might of my kingdom forever, for Yahuwah sware to me with an oath that he will not destroy the kingdom from my seed forever. Now I have much grief, my children, because of your lewdness and witchcrafts and idolatries, which you shall practice against the kingdom, following them that have familiar spirits, diviners, and demons of error. You shall make your daughters singing girls and harlots, and you shall mingle in the abominations of the Gentiles, for which things, uh, for which things sake Yahuwah shall bring upon you famine and pestilence, death and the sword, um, beleaguering by enemies and revilings of friends, the slaughter of children, the rape of wives, the plundering of possessions, the burning of the temple of Yahuwah, the laying waste of the land, the enslavement of yourselves among the Gentiles, and they shall make some of you eunuchs for their wives, until Yahuwah visit you, when with perfect heart you repent and walk in all his commandments, and he bring you up from captivity among the Gentiles. And after these things shall a star arise to you from Yaakub in peace, and a man shall arise from my seed, like the Son of Righteousness, walking with the sons of men in meekness and righteousness, and no sin shall be found in him. And the Shamayim shall be open unto him, to pour out the Ruach, even the blessing of the Kudash Father, and he shall pour out the Spirit of grace upon you, and you shall be unto him sons in truth, and you shall walk in his commandments first and last. This branch of Yahuwah Most High, and this fountain giving life unto all. Then shall the scepter of my kingdom shine forth, and from your root shall arise a stem, and from it shall grow a rod of righteousness to the Gentiles, to judge and to save all that call upon Yahuwah. And after these things shall Abraham and Yitzhak and Jacob arise unto life, and I and my brethren shall be chiefs of the tribes of Yasharal. Levi first, I the second, Yehusaph third, Benjamin fourth, Simeon fifth, Issachar sixth, and so all in order. And Yahuwah bless Levi, and the Malach of the presence, me, the powers of glory, Simeon, the Shamayim, Reuben, the earth, Issachar, the sea, Zebulun, the mountains, Yehuseph, the tabernacle, Benjamin, the luminaries, Dan, Eden, Naphtali, the sun, Gad, the moon, Asher, and you shall be the people of Yahuwah and have one tongue. And there shall be there no spirit of deceit of Beliar, for he shall be cast into the fire for forever. And they who have died in grief shall arise in joy. And they who were poor for Yahuwah's sake shall be made rich. And they who are put to death for Yahuwah's sake shall awake to life. And the hearts of Yaqub shall run in joyfulness. And the eagles of Yasharal shall fly in gladness. And all the people shall glorify Yahuwah forever. Observe therefore, my children, all the law of Yahuwah, for there is hope for all them who hold fast unto his ways. And he said to them, behold, I die before your eyes this day, 119 years old. Let no one bury me in costly apparel, nor tear open my bowels, for this shall they who are kings do. And carry me up to Hebron with you. And Yehuda, when he had said these things, fell asleep, and his sons did according to all whatsoever he commanded them, and they buried him in Hebron with his fathers. Hallelujah. So, go ahead and get rid of that. So, yeah, so all of these things kind of show what's happening right now, especially, we've been in the last days for quite some time. And I think with it coming to the wire like this, and with all these things failing around us, it's really high time that we get right. Um, when we clearly see that a lot of these things that we're doing because there's a curse over us that we don't even realize, and we got to pray against these curses. We got to pray against these tendencies that we've exhibited from our fathers, whether we know them or not. Because I know that a lot of our people in our community suffer from that. We do a lot of things from our parents, even when we don't know them. It's like we exhibit those exact same traits. And that's what we're doing in our community, is that we're exhibiting traits of lust and sinful desires, that if we actually put the effort of actually doing what's right and actually coming in as one man, seeking repentance and consecration and setting ourselves apart from the ways of the Gentiles, the ways of the heathen, then we will understand like the purity and the greatness of the Most High in His word. We will understand, okay, this is why it was good for me to live a lifestyle like this, because I have nothing here. Just like how we look in the scriptures pertaining to Yasharal being in Mitzrayim. At this point, we have no reason to stay here in Mitzrayim. I mean, that's exactly how they thought. We have no point to stay here in Mitzrayim because we see that everything is destroyed. The fight becomes is that once you leave Mitzrayim, has it left your mind? Has it really left your mentality? To where the things that was going on in Mitzrayim, all the quote unquote positive things that you felt, just because you're being denied certain things, like, oh, with me not having a job, how can I serve the Most High? I don't have a job. Most High, I don't have these things. I don't have these things. I don't have these things. And then we're losing focus on, he says, seek ye first the kingdom of Yahuwah and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added unto you, And it's like we're not looking at the bigger picture here. The bigger picture is that this is not our home. It's not our home. We were brought here. It's not our home. I don't care. It doesn't matter how many generations of us have been born here. It's not our home. There was Yahudim in the book of Acts that were born in Parthian, Egypt. They were strangers of Rome. They were in Crete. They were in Pathros. They were in Libya, of Cyrene. They was in all these different places, and they were not looking at it like this is my home. Oh, I was born here. This is my home. No, they were Yahudim. They understood, hey, I got to go back to Jerusalem. Yeah, I was born here, but Jerusalem is where I need to go because I need to keep the feast. I'm a Yahudi. That's who I am. So, it becomes an issue whenever we just start looking at Babylon, because that's what this place is, Babylon, and we start looking at the wickedness of this world, and we're saying that this wickedness is our home. We got to understand the same way Dawood understood it. He said, I'd rather be in the courts of the Most High for a day, a single day, than to be in the presence of the wicked for 1,000 years, in the tents of the wicked for 1,000 years. So that's the bigger picture. That's why we need to stop playing these games with our lives and stop playing these games with our soul. It's time for us to get right. So just wanted to read that one chapter. I might read the other patriarchs. I might read the other patriarchs sometime, but just wanted to get that out here and kind of just give my 2 cents on what's been going on, and hopefully y'all willing. Yasharal, the nation of Yasharal, and all the Gentiles who are called by the Most High's name, that we turn, that we get right, and mainly the tribe of Yasharal, that we serve the Most High with all of our hearts, and we stop playing these games with our lives. We get out of this cursed mentality. We get out of this broken mentality, this lustful mentality, this the slave mentality, and start serving the Most High in His Word truly, with all of our heart, and stop just giving Him lip service. So with that, I say shalom. Until next time, family.